I bought this tank 2 years ago. It's a UNS 35A. I had dreams of making it a nano fish tank with shrimp. It would be awesome. With the low iron glass and lid and the filtration built in, it was perfect. The online reviews, out of this world. But what nobody told me was the problems I was going to run into and the hidden dangers lurking in the back. Justin Miller made a comment on a video I did back in 2024. That was the review for this tank. He said this tank wasn't good for a shrimp or a fry because they were getting into the back filtration area of this tank and his outflow pipe was leaking. After owning this tank for 2 years, I can say he's not wrong. So what I plan to go over is what went wrong and what I did about it and the upgrades I did over the last 2 years. Before we get into all that, let's go over what's really held up on this tank. Because the glass really is great. It's a nice, not scratched or any problems. The seam's perfect. You know, this is not overlapped edge. This is a nice bevel. The clips on the lid haven't really discolored or anything. Everything's held up really good. From a build quality standpoint, I'm very pleased with it. It's held up well and it looks fantastic. The outflow pipe. That was one thing I was never really happy with this tank. Was the one that it came with was this multi-directional flow, and they also offer a jet pipe for it, but those didn't really fit what I was looking for, and I liked the flow of the lily pipe. And so what I did is I changed over to the Nero lily pipe, and I first was using the medium sized one, takes a hose to adapt it in, and I changed it since then to the large one, which fits perfectly into the factory line from the pump, and that I'm using in this tank now. And so I would recommend if you want to change it, that's great, and it hasn't leaked and it's been good. So here was the real issues. At first I had some shrimp in this tank, and then eventually I got ginga guppies and they were in here, and what happens is that they could get past the filter in the front here. This sponge would let them through and they would get caught in the middle in this back chamber over here. As you can see, there's not really that much room back here to get a net in there, and really once they're in there, and you're gonna fight to get them out. But what really caused the problem was bladder snails or any sort of small snail. Probably came in on a plant. Next thing you know, they're everywhere. The real issue is that the filter isn't coarse enough and they get right through and they get into the backside filtration chamber and eventually into the pump housing. I come home one day and the water's not flowing. I go pull the pump out and find a bladder snail jammed in the pump. And usually these snails aren't an issue. I have them in all my tanks. But in this tank, they're able to get in and jam the pump housing. So what I did was I took a piece of 30 ppm foam or so and wrapped it around the pump housing. This does mean, though, I do need to clean this when I maintain the tank, and it adds to the maintenance level, but it's well worth it for me to say I never have to worry about it jamming ever again. It's definitely worth the little extra work it's going to take. For me, it was too late. The snails had overrun the tank. I wasn't happy with it. I ended up breaking it down, and that was the Chaos to Harmony video that you can check out right here. So for the two problems that we're up against for shrimp and fry in this tank, UNS has two possible solutions for it. The first one being the intake guard or weir guard. The intake guard will make the holes a little bit smaller so that smaller fish or fry or even shrimp can't get past it. The problem I have with it is that where the adjustment sits does not work with the lid on. You can even see it in their own picture. They don't have the cover on the back of the tank. It's not like I'm not going to use this, and this cover does come with it. The glass top cover does not come with the tank. You have to buy it separately, but you can then flip it over and it ride on this side here. The only other thing I got to say is that there is no stopper, and if you move it into the right position, it will actually block off too much and start causing the pump to pull down the whole water section. So it's got to be all the way to the left. I might just engineer something to give it a positive stop so I can't move it over. It does, however, cause a little bit of a flow restriction, so you got to decide if you need it. Right now, I don't really need it, but I'll have it on hand, and it is pretty cheap for me to just check it out just to see if it was something that I could use. The media tower comes with a coarse sponge, a fine polishing pad, and 2 additional media blocks. The tank comes with 2 media blocks also, so now you have 4. There's lots of room for flexibility in here with multiple slots that you can put your media in or your trays and move them out wherever you want. So I'm gonna put my crushed coral that I use on this tray down in here. And the sponge that it comes with is coarse like the one that it originally comes with. So that being a problem, I'm gonna cut out a piece of that 30 ppm foam and put that here. This will again need to be maintained a little bit more often, but it also should polish the water a little more. You could even go as fine as putting a fine floss here and go through the filtration stages down below it. Whatever you like, whatever you need, this flexibility to this is great. Also with it in the media tower, pushing it right up against the intake guard, it really ensures that no snails or any sort of fryer shrimp could get past this sponge here. The other nice thing here, it opens up the middle chamber, which you can use for either more media or a heater or whatever you need to put in there. They do make an auto top off system, so let me know in the comments below if you think I should get it auto top off and then let you know how it works. As for the fitment quality of the media tower, I feel it could be a little bit more sturdy. It does flex a little bit. It'll cause the tray to pop out of position at times. It's a little annoying, but it's not a problem. Once you get it in place and square, it'll go right in. It's not perfect, but with a couple of things to make it your own, you'll have no problems with this tank at all. I plan on adding some shrimp back in here. It was the shrimp that the bedder was living with formerly, so hopefully everything goes well with that. And I'm going to see how they do and if they're able to get past it. But I'm pretty confident with that finer sponge up at the top that that's the answer to make this tank shrimp and fry safe. I definitely think that the upgrades are worth the investment, especially if you're going to keep fry and shrimp. I would love to see UNS offer a lily pipe option for this tank. Until then, use the large Neo one, link in the description below. The adjustability of this tank and the large filtration really makes it a nice tank. It's well designed, great glass, it really does look good. For me, it has stood up in 2 years, almost like it's a brand new tank still. And I'm very pleased with the overall experience with it, even with the snail problem, but that's not the tank's fault, is it? And finally, thank you, Justin Miller, for bringing it up and the idea of making this video so I could share that experience with you to hopefully save you the aggravation that the two of us have gone through and the creative ways that we went about fixing the problems. Thank you for your input, Justin.